Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right, so so we're continuing with Zakat Masail. Okay, so if you remember last time we started on the Zakat of silver, and we mentioned about how there is this ikhtilaf between the scholars with regards to the zakat. How do you work out the weight that was used in the olden days? How is it worked out in today's days? And we said that in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the dirham, which is known as the silver coin, was of various weights. Yeah. So in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, he decided to standardize all the weights, and he took three of various coins, and then he merged them together, and then he came out with the seven weight one, right? So where every 10 coins weighs the 7, and that's what he talks about, 7 mathaqil. Yeah, وهو أن تكون العشرة منها وزن 7 مثاقيل. Yeah, so in other words, every 10 coins, if you weigh them, all the 10 weigh 7 mithqals, right? So that means that was the standard that was going to be used, and now this is the standard that we use even till today as well. بذلك جرى التقدير في ديوان عمر واستقر الأمر عليه, and the matter then became firm upon that. Okay, now some of you guys were asking, like, how do you work out these various types of weights? Like, how are these weights considered to be understood in today's times? Now, if you want to understand that, like I told you last time, it's all to do with the weight of one barley seed, right? So in other words, what the scholars of the past did was they took coins and they began to weigh them against barley, because they believed that for some reason, until the Day of Judgment, barley is always going to exist on earth. So in history, whoever wants to understand what was the weight of the coins of our time, then you simply have to measure it with barley seeds. And they worked it out roughly to be about 70, give or take. 70 barley seeds is 1 silver coin. And about 95 barley seeds works out to be 1 gold coin. All right, so that was the kind of measurements that they were working with. It's like in today's times where, for example, let's say we have certain coins in our days today, and someone says, how will the people in the future, in 1,000 years' time, how will they know the weight of these coins that we have today? So we need to have a standard measure that they can measure it with universally. So that's what basically the measure is of today. Now, this term carats, when you say gold carats, sorry about that. So when you say gold carats, what do we mean by carats? So the word carat actually started off from Greece. So the Greeks would use the word carat, C-A-R-A-T, right? And then this was then later on, the Muslims began to also adopt this term as well. And some say it's actually qarrat with shadda on the ra, qarrat. So basically what they would do was that gold would be weighed against seeds. So in Greece, there must have been these kind of seeds that were called qarrat. And every 5 seeds that they would have, one carat was 5 seeds. So they had these kind of pods which had 5 seeds in them. I can't remember what the particular type of seed in Greece they would use, but you can Google it, right? You'll find this on like Wikipedia or somewhere else. And these were the 5 seeds. That was a qarrat, right? And then they obviously used to measure the gold according to this weight. So if it was 100% gold, they would say it's got 24 qarrats in there. 24. So interestingly, 24, right? They would consider it to be 5. So the Greeks, so that means 24 times 5, right, would equal, how much is that? Just how much is that? Is it about 120, isn't it? 120, yeah. 120 seeds would equal like 24 karat gold. And then the Muslims obviously began to adopt this, and they changed it slightly. So according to Hanafis, generally what they say, like Bahr al-Ra'iq and others have mentioned, they say that when we say qirat, the qirat measure that is used, right, that is basically based upon 4 seeds. They say 4 seeds makes up 1 qirat. Yeah, 4 sha'irat, basically. Okay, so anyway, let's continue with this then. So إذا كان الغالب على is there any? Do you guys have any other questions with regards to the weights and measures? Is there anything other specific that you guys want to know? Okay, so he says, وإذا كان الغالب على الورق الفضة فهو في حكم الفضة. So when you have a piece of metal, and remember, gold usually doesn't exist in its pure form. There's always something, an alloy that's mixed with it, another metal that's mixed with it. The more metal that's mixed with it, the stronger the gold is. The more pure the gold is, the weaker the gold is, the more malleable it is. And the same goes for silver as well. So they would mix things with silver. So silver was found in different. So let's say, for example, this is a coin. If this is a coin, now let's say I have inside this coin silver, and I also have other metal in there as well. Like I have iron mixed with it as well, right? So now this is a compound metal now. So it contains silver and it contains. So what the Hanafis used to say is, how do you decide when something is in the ruling of silver as opposed to something being in the ruling of the other metal? So if I have, let's say, for example, 1% silver in here and 99%, let's say, iron or some other metal, do I still consider this to be in the ruling of silver? So the Hanafis say no. The rule is whatever the ghalib metal is, meaning whatever metal inside of this is more than 50%. So let's say 51% of it is iron, 49% is silver. This coin will be in the ruling of iron. It'll be a piece of iron basically. So إذا كان الغالب الورق, when the predominant metal inside the coin is warq means silver. Yeah. الورق الفضة فهو في حكم الفضة, then this will be in the ruling of silver. وإذا كان الغالب عليها الغش, and when the ghalib upon this is ghish means alloy. فهو في حكم العروض. Urud basically means non-gold and silver. Anything non-gold and silver, in zakat terms, it comes under urud. Right, so your phone is urud, your laptop's urud, your house is urud. Right, so basically if you have this coin and 51% of it is not silver, the coin will be in the ruling of a non-currency. يعتبر أن تبلغ قيمته نصابا. Right, so in other words, what's going to happen in this case then? Do I have to give the zakat of silver inside of this? So generally what they say is, basically, the Hanafis generally say that if you can separate the silver from this, if this can be melted down and you can separate the silver potentially, then you have to work out the amount of silver in here to give the gold, to give the zakat on it. What does that mean? So let's say, for example, if I have these coins and I have enough silver in these coins that equals 200 silver coins. What is 200 silver coins? Well, it works out to be, in today's days, 635. Yeah, 613.35. 613.35 grams of silver. So if I have over, let's just say 600 grams of silver altogether inside of this, and I can like work that out, then I have to give zakat on that. Does everyone understand? Yeah, so even though the coin is not in the ruling of silver, because I can work out the amount of silver inside of here, I have to give the zakat of this. This is only if this is considered to be, it's possible to separate this, to remove this. So he says, يُعْتَبَرْ أَن تَبْلُغْ قِيمَتُهُ نِصَابًا. Now this is talking about urud, okay? So urud, remember, let's say for example, I've got a book over here. I've got a book over here, and I've got some headphones over here, and I've got, some other things. These things that I have, you don't have to give zakat on them unless you have purchased them with the intention of selling them on, right? Unless they are what we call business stock, right? So if they are business stock, if you bought something with the intention of selling on, and its value has reached the nisab, you've got to give zakat on it. But if I've got these earphones and I have no intention of selling them, I didn't buy them with the intention of sale, then these items are non-zakatable. Anyway, he says, لأن الدراهم لا تخلو. He says, because dirhams, لا تخلو عن قليل غش. Because normally silver coins, if you have a silver coin, this silver coin normally is not void of any alloy. So every single silver coin you have, you will find a small percentage of other metal mixed with it. لأنها لا تنطبع إلا به. انطبع means is you can't like mold it, you can't stamp it. So basically they're saying you must have an alloy mixed with it in order for you to have this. This is why the question now arises. If you've got, let's say, if I've got 200 silver coins, 200 of them, but the silver coins are only 70% silver. Does everyone understand that? So I've got 200 silver coins. If the 200 silver coins are only 70% silver, do I have to give zakat on it or not? Because technically, I don't have, like, if I have 70%, that means I've only got 70% of the nisab. So to have the full nisab, you technically have to have, obviously, full silver. Yeah? Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Or shall I say it again? Yeah, so if I have silver coins, these silver coins might be 100% silver, they might be 90% silver, they might be 80% silver, 60% silver, etc. Right? So if I've got 200, does that now mean I have to give zakat on them? He says, no, that's not the case. Yeah? So, he says, لِأَنَّهَا لَا تَنْطَبِعْ إِلَّا بِهِ. He says the coins cannot be manipulated, they can't be stamped unless they have some alloy mixed in. وَتَخْلُو عَنِ الْكَثِيرِ. However, these coins don't have majority alloy, meaning when we say that this coin contains alloy, we mean it has some, not a lot. 10%, 20%, not 50%. فَجَعَلْنَا الْغَلَبَ فَاصِلَةً. So from a fiqh point of view, we've decided to say that whichever metal is 51% or more, we're going to give that coin the ruling of that metal. So if this coin is 51% silver, we're going to say this is a silver coin now. But if this coin was 51% iron, we would say this coin is an iron coin. All right? That's why it says, فَجَعَلْنَا الْغَلَبَةَ فَاصِلَةً. And this concept of ghalaba, we've seen this in Hanafi fiqh being used time and time again. Right? Does anyone know where in Hanafi fiqh we've maybe come across it before, where we use the concept of ghalaba to give a specific ruling? Right? So we've determined the ruling based upon what is considered to be more. Anyone know any fiqh masala that we might have covered before? Yeah, I'll tell you one. We haven't covered it, but it comes in the beginning of hidayah. Yeah, blood in the mouth. Excellent. I was going to say that. Yeah, so Zafar, blood in the mouth. Excellent. So if you spit out blood, and then if the saliva has more blood in it, it's in the ruling of blood. And if it has less blood in it, then it's in the ruling of saliva. Yeah, so this is considered to be one of the examples. Or for example, like when it comes to mixing water. So you mixed water with ma musta'mal, right? If the ma musta'mal in the bucket is 51% of the contents of the bucket, then it's in the hukum of unusable water. You can't use it for wudu. All right. So the idea is the Hanafis, they use this concept frequently throughout fiqh. Right. So we need to know where this concept is used, and here's a prime example of its usage. وَهُوَ أَنْ يَزِيدُ عَلَى النِّصْفِ. So what does ghalaba mean here? So he wants to define what ghalaba means. Ghalaba means أَنْ يَزِيد عَلى النِّصْفِ, meaning the thing inside the coin is more than half. And I said 50%. It just makes it easier for us to understand. More than 50% of the coin is silver. اعتبارا للحقيقة. So اعتبارا للحقيقة means that considering the reality. So in other words, the reality basically is this, that if you have a coin and this coin is basically like 50%, then we would say this is half and half. But if the coin is 51%, if it goes over 1%, that means haqiqatan, if someone was to say to you, what is more in here? You can clearly say haqiqatan, there is more silver than there is iron in this coin. Yeah. And if you look in the hashia as well, it says the same thing in the hashia. Yeah, so over here it says, اعتبار للحقيقة لحقيقة الأمر بين القليل والكثير, meaning that in reality, whenever we want to divide something into saying something is more and something is less, we always look at what is considered to be 51% versus 49%. لأنهما لا يتحققان, because قليلا كثير, the concept of more and less, can never exist إلا بزيادة على النصف, unless one side is more than half, meaning one side is 51% at least. لأن القليل كثير ما يقابله قليل, because when we use the word كثير, we use the word قليل with it. So if I say to you, for example, this water has كثير ribena. Everyone know what ribena is, yeah? It's like, like a dilute drink that you add to water. So this water has kathir raibina. What do you mean by kathir raibina? It means it has to be more than 51% of the contents of the cup in order for it to be kathir. All right. Now, this is not considered to be a universal rule, because sometimes in fiqh we actually find, like for example, ruba, a quarter is in the ruling of all. Yeah. So this is very, very, very different then. So wiping a quarter of your head is in the ruling of all, they'll say. Or for example, like if a woman's praying her salat and a quarter of her shin becomes exposed in salat, then that is in the ruling of as though all of her shin has become exposed. And sometimes the Hanafis even use like thuluth, yeah, like in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, when it comes to a wasiyah, how much wasiyah can you make when you die? You say, I want this much of my money to go to a charity. How much of that can you donate to a charity? So you can only donate up to 1/3. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ath-thuluthu kathir." So you see how the Hanafis have to kind of like grapple with, how do we decide what is a kathir? Is kathir determined by amount, 51% versus 49? Or is kathir determined by like a specific figure, quarter, third? Or is kathir determined by color even? Like if we say this is now kathir when the color is excessive. Anyway, he says, اعتبارا للحقيقة وسنذكره في الصرف إن شاء الله. So we're going to mention this in the chapter of sarf. Yeah, sarf is currency, foreign exchange. So in the chapter of foreign exchange, which is going to come much later on, inshallah, hopefully before I die, inshallah, before you die, we're going to cover that chapter, inshallah, in Kitab al-Sarf. So in sarf, there's a famous masla that's mentioned, which basically is, if you have, let's say I've got a gold coin, and you got 2 gold coins. Am I allowed to give you 1 gold coin and in exchange take 2 gold coins from you? The ruling is no. This is riba. Yeah. So in riba, there's 2 types of riba. There's what we call deferred riba, credit riba, and there's surplus riba. Yeah. Deferred riba is where I give you money and then I say to you, you have to give me back that exact money with some money on top. So I'm charging you for borrowing. And surplus riba is where like 1 coin for 2 or like something like that. Yeah, one cup of barley for 2 cups of barley. That's prohibited. So the question here is this: if I have a coin that is considered to be 51% gold, and you have a coin which is 51% gold, or 2 coins which are 51% gold, am I allowed to give you 1 coin in exchange for 2? The answer is no. But what if I have a coin which is, let's say, 49% gold, or let's just say 10% gold. 90% of it is another metal, like iron. 90% iron, or 10% gold. And you have 2 coins, 10% gold each. Can I exchange this? So technically you should be allowed to. It should be fine. Because the exchange is not gold for gold anymore now. Because the ghalaba, the dominance, is now for the alloy. Does everyone understand this idea? Now this can obviously open up the doors for people to circumvent riba now. How do you think this can open the doors for circumventing riba? Does anyone have an idea? Anyone know how this can circumvent riba? Like if people were to deal with this type of method and say, okay, that if I have 100 coins and each one of them only has 10% gold in there, and someone else wants to exchange the gold for gold, and but it's not gold for gold, it's like 90% iron, isn't it? 10% gold, and they want to exchange it for 200 coins that each contain 10% gold. This is where the problem is going to arise, because people can then say, right, we're not allowed to sell 1 coin for 2 coins of gold, but what if we were to get the same gold, mix it with some other metal, make sure the other metal is 90%, and then give that? Wouldn't that be okay? So we would say technically, theoretically, it should be okay, but it's not, because that is simply circumventing the riba. Yeah, and that should not be allowed. Okay. All right, so okay, let's go here. إلا أن في غالب الغش لا بد من نية التجارة. However, if there's a coin and the majority of this coin is made up of an alloy, then the only way this can now become zakatable is if there's a niyat of tijara, meaning I bought this coin. Let's say this is just like a what do you call it? Just a piece of metal. This piece of metal does not fall under zakat unless I have this piece of metal with the intention that I'm gonna buy it. I bought it with the intention of selling it. Yeah, like collector's item. I bought it with the intention of selling it. Now this would fall under the zakat of urudu tijara, we call it. Yeah, so inventory, business stock and inventory. Does everyone understand? So business stock and inventory can only be zakatable if it is purchased with intention of selling. So if you remember a few lessons ago, we mentioned about this concept of nama, that zakat is only necessary on those aspects of your wealth which are productive, which have growth in there. Growth, yeah, productive ones. And we say growth, productivity growth is done in three ways. It's either naturally, which is found in gold and silver. Gold and silver are naturally productive. Yeah, because these are a means that people use to buy and sell all the time. So these are considered to be like they are created as zakatable assets. Nothing can change that. And then we have those things that are for business purposes. You buy things, cars and houses and books with the intention of selling it on. Those are considered to be zakatable assets. And then you have the third category. And this third category is those things that are like productive in the sense they give birth, like animals. Yeah, so we talked about this when we talked about camels and cows and goats and all of that. Does everyone understand? This is why he says, إِلَّا أَنَّ فِي غَالِبِ الْغِشِ, except that when it comes to those coins that contain majority of alloy, non-gold and silver, they can only become zakatable لَا بُدَّ مِن نِيَّةِ التِّجَارَةِ. There has to be intention of tijara, كَمَا فِي سَائِرِ الْعُرُودِ, just like is the case in the rest of the non-gold and silver items in your life. Yeah, so all non-gold silver items in your life, platinum, for example, platinum, diamonds, pearls, all of these things come under this rule. Yeah, this is like you can say a dabita of zakat. Okay. إِلَّا إِذَا كَانَ تَخَلَّسَ. Okay, now let's go back to the original masala. You got this coin. This coin has 90% iron, 10% gold, or 90% iron, 10% silver. إلا إذا كان تخلص منها فضة تبلغ نصابا. Oh, so I think this is supposed to be إلا إذا كان تخلص منها. No, why it's got dhamma on the lam. Yeah, تخلص منها فضة. Should be تخلص. So إذا كان تخلص منها فضة تبلغ نصابا. Unless this coin that contains 10% silver, that silver can be separated. Takhlus means it can be removed, extracted. And that amount, if you gather it all together, if you take all the coins that you've got that contain 10% silver, 10% silver, 10% silver, and you were to extract the silver from there and then you were to weigh it, and it works out to be nisab. Do you understand? Yeah, it works out to be nisab. Then you have to give zakat on that. Yeah, tablughu nisaban. Then you have to give zakat. So let's say I have, 500 coins. And these 500 coins, they have 10% silver each. And when I extracted them, I don't have to extract them. I just have to work out how much gold and silver is in there. Now, see, in the olden days, I just want to mention a side note here. In the olden days, they didn't have technology that had the ability to be able to extract gold and silver from everything. They could do it from certain things, but certain things they couldn't do. Like nowadays, you have microchips in computers where, it has a small amount of gold in there. But that gold in the olden days couldn't be extracted. It would damage the whole item. Yeah. But nowadays they have this sophisticated technology that can extract. All right. So just bear that in mind as well. So does that mean, let's say, for example, someone's got a computer at home, which is bound to have gold in there, but it's very, very small amount of gold. Does that mean that now you have to give zakat on it? So from one angle, you can argue, yes, you have to give zakat on it because in today's days, it is extractable, as in theoretically. And from one angle, no, because it's so minute that trying to work out that amount of zakat is just going to be useless. It's going to be insignificant. Yeah. So he says, لأنه لا يعتبر, because it's not considered في عين الفضة القيمة ولا نية التجارة. Yeah. Because لأنه لا يعتبر في عين الفضة القيمة. Because When it comes to the silver itself, the value is not considered. What does that mean, value is not considered? Let me explain something to you. Imagine, for example, I've got this gold necklace. Obviously, I can't wear a gold necklace. But let's say, for example, I've got this gold necklace. Yeah. This gold necklace, it has a value and it has a weight. So when you take it to the jewelry store and you say to them, can you tell me the value of this necklace? They might say to you, the value of the necklace is £10,000, right? Because that £10,000, if you break it down, it's the gold inside the necklace and then it's the design, right? That design itself might be worth more than the gold itself. So when you're looking at gold and silver, you're not taking into consideration the value of the gold and silver item. You're looking at the weight of it. So like some people ask me this question. They'll say, for example, a lady might say, I've got this jewelry set. It's worth, I don't know, tens of thousands because it's a designer set, right? Special designer set. But then I'll say to them, just tell me how much gold is in there. All I want to know is how much the weight of the gold. That's all I need to know. And it might turn out that the value of the necklace is in the tens of thousands. But if you extract the gold and separate it, the gold simply is worth, I don't know, maybe £3,000, £4,000, £5,000. That's it. Yeah, that's all it's worth. So that's what he's saying here. He's saying basically, when it comes to silver, we don't look at value of silver. This is according to Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Abu Yusuf specifically. Yeah, you don't look at the value. Imam Muhammad, there's an opinion that's mentioned in Bahr Ra'iq and others that says that he actually looks at the qima as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So according to Abu Hanifa and Abu Yusuf, you don't look at the value of the silver. What you look at is, you look at the weight. So that's why I said to you, if you have 500 coins and you have, these 500 coins have 10% silver in them, that 10% silver can be extracted. If you can put all of that together and weigh it all, and it works out to be equal to, the weight of 200 silver coins, 200 dirhams, yeah, which is 613.35 grams of silver. So if this works out to 613.35 grams of silver, you got to give zakat on it, irrespective of its value. This is according to who? Abu Hanifa and Imam Abu Yusuf. Imam Muhammad and Imam Zufr, they say no. They say you look at the qima. In fact, Imam Muhammad Zufr says you look at the qima. So if you have silver, you just have to work out the value of the silver. That's it. You don't have to wait. And according to Imam Muhammad, he says you look at which is going to be more beneficial for the fuqara. If the qima is going to be higher, is the qima higher or is the weight higher? If the qima is higher, then you got to give zakat on it. And if the weight is higher, you give zakat on it. So whichever one is higher, because you're trying to make it more easier for fuqara to get their zakat from it. Does everyone understand this statement, or should I say again? So it's a bit of a difficult concept to understand. Yeah. Okay. So لأنه لا يعتبر, because it's not considered in it the ain al-fidda, the silver itself. You don't look at the silver itself. Yeah. لأنه لا يعتبر في عين الفضة القيمة, the value of it. ولا نية التجارة. And secondly, you don't look at the intention of tijara when it comes to gold and silver. These two items in the whole world are the only two items that you do not look at whether you want to sell it or not. Yeah, so if you have gold and silver lying in your house somewhere, you've never used it in your life, you still have to give zakat on it, irrespective of whether you have the intention of selling it off or not. Why? Because we said al-malu nami, productive wealth, is of three types. Naturally productive wealth, there's only two of them, gold and silver. Or ma yu'addu lit-tijarati, anything that has been reserved for sale. And number three is, like we said, livestock. Yeah, productive livestock. So this is why he wants to mention this last point over here. Okay, now silver has finished now. Let's move on to the next topic. Faslun fi al-dhahab. This is the subchapter with regards to gold now. So the gold zakat, this is the nisab. Remember we said silver nisab is 200 silver coins. Okay, what do we mean by 200 silver coins? 200 silver coins, that works out to be, in today's terms, So the silver coins has to work out, each silver coin has to have inside of it the weight of 70 grains of barley. Yeah. The gold, on the other hand, he says, ليس فيما دون 20 مثقالا من الذهب صدقة. There is not, so laysa, the ism of laysa is sadaqah. There is no sadaqah, there is no zakat فيما دون 20 مثقالا من الذهب. There is no zakat if you have less than 20 mithqals of gold. Okay, so 20 mithqals of gold. Now, remember I told you last lesson, I said to you, the term mithqal in Arabic is used for two things. One is a just general weight. Like in the Quran, Allah says, وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى. So mithqal over there means weight. Whoever performs the weight of a dharra, yeah, will see it. Over here, the word mithqal actually refers to a specific type of weight, a specific amount of weight. Okay, a mithqal. And a mithqal roughly, in today's estimate, it roughly works out to be about 4.2 grams. 4.2 grams. Yeah, so 4.2 grams of gold is one mithqal. Yeah, so if 4.2 grams of gold is one mithqal, you multiply that by 20 and it's roughly about 87.45 grams, right? According to one estimate, according to one calculation, the dominant calculation that is used nowadays. So the mithqal is actually made up of like smaller weights. They're made up of qirats. Yeah. So each mithqal is then made up of qirats. Okay. And we'll look at that in a bit. So laysa fi maduna, there is no zakat in any amount of gold that you have as long as it's less than 20 mithqals, i.e. 87.45 grams. فإذا كانت 20 مثقالا, so when this gold reaches 20 مثقال ففيها نصف مثقال, then in this will be half a mithqal. What does half a mithqal mean? Now look, remember we said zakat always works on the principle of 2.5%. So if you have 20 mithqals of gold, 20 mithqals of gold, yeah, and these 20 mithqals of gold that you have, what's 2.5% of 20? Meaning, divide 20 by 40. That's the easier way to work it out. So 20 divided by 40 equals a half. Simple as that. So therefore, the zakat of 20 mithqals of gold is going to be half a mithqal. So he says, فَفِيهَا نِصْفُ مِثْقَال. Lima rawayna. Lima rawayna means because of the hadith that we mentioned before. What's that hadith? That the Prophet ﷺ, he told Mu'adh radiallahu anhu that when he goes to the people of Yemen, he should take from them, from every 40 dinar, 1 dinar. Yeah. And that works out to be obviously 40 dinar for 1 dinar. 1 is a 1/40th of 40. So therefore 20 mithqal, 1/40th of 20. والمثقال ما يكون كل سبعة منها وزن 10 دراهم. Now going back to the Umar radiallahu anhu case. Now, according to Imam Marghinani, now this is not in Hidayah, okay, it's another one of his books. This is quoted by Imam Binaya has mentioned this, Bahr Raik has mentioned this, they've mentioned this. They've said, Marghinani says, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when you said a gold coin, it wasn't a coin like we understand. It wasn't round, like it wasn't flat, circular. It wasn't a flat, circular piece of coin. It was actually more like, I don't have anything here. It was more like a small, like imagine the tip of my finger. It's more like the seed of a date. That's how it was. So in them days, if you were to go back in time and you looked at the currency they had, you probably wouldn't be able to recognize it as coins. It's more like nuggets, small nuggets. So what happened in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, he standardized them. And he worked out the mithqal ma yakunu kullu sab'atin minha waznu 10 darahim. What does that mean? It means that the mithqal is if you collect 7 of these, they will equal the weight of 10 silver coins. Yeah. So in other words, 7 mithqals is equal to 10 silver coins. And this roughly works out, remember what we said? That 1 silver coin is equal to the weight of 70 grains of barley. And one gold coin is roughly equal to 95 or more. Yeah, 95. That's the difference between the two. Yeah. So a dirham is going to be less in weight. So every 10 silver coins is equal to 7 mithqals, basically. That's what he's saying. وهو المعروف, and this is considered to be the known coin. Al-ma'ruf, like apparently in them days people knew this. Now, unfortunately, we don't know this because we're not used to trading in gold and silver coins anymore longer. We're actually familiar with notes. What is the ruling of notes? That's an interesting thing itself. Like, does the notes fall under the ruling of gold or silver? Or does it fall under the ruling of urud? This is something which contemporary Hanafis have actually differed upon, and inshallah, maybe today or maybe next week, I'll talk more about this idea of notes. How do we treat notes in today's times? If someone has a certain number of notes, do we say that this person has to give zakat based upon the gold nisab, which currently stands, about £4,000, or is it silver nisab, which currently stands about £350? Yeah. So what is it based upon? ثم في كل 4 مثاقيل قيراطان. So then he says, in every single, after you've got 20, so let's say I've got 20 gold coins, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, he says that you only have to, so if I've got 20 silver coins, how much zakat do I have to give? Half a mithqal. But what if I've got 21 gold coins? How much do I have to give? Nothing. Nothing extra. What if I got 22? Nothing extra. What if I got 23? Nothing extra. What if I got 24? If you got 24, then you have to give half a mithqal plus on top of that 2 qirats. Why 2 qirats? So because they say that the mithqal, for every 4 mithqals, 2.5% of 4 mithqals is equal to 2 qirats. Does that make sense? So basically, how does it work out then? So 4 divided by 40. 4 divided by 40 equals 2. That's how they work it out. So how many qirats are there now in 4 mathaqil? Can you work it out? How many qirats are there in 4 mathaqil? How many is that? Yeah, so if 2.5% of 4 is 2 qirats, you're basically dividing 4 by 40. Yeah, so to work it the other way around, all you have to do is 2 qirats times 40 now. So 2 qirats times 40 equals 80, isn't it? 80. So that means in 4 mathaqil, there's 80 qirats. So how many qirats is there in 1 mithqal? Come on, guys. I thought you guys are supposed to be good at maths. Zafar, you're usually good at maths. How much is it? Come on, if there's 80 qirats in 4 mithqals, how many qirats is there in 1 mithqal? All you have to do is 80 divided by 4. What's 80 divided by 4? 20. So therefore, every mithqal, 20 exactly. So 20. So now next question, how many qirats? If there's 20 qirats, remember, qirat is like the count, in their days, right? The word for carrots, but it's not really that. It's a bit different in the Greek version. Yeah. So how many is there then in 20 mithqal? How many qirats are there in 20 mithqal? So all you have to do is 20 times 20. How many is 20 times 20? 20 times 20 equals, no, not 40. 20 times 20. One more is 0. Excellent. 400. Yeah, so 400. So basically what he's saying is that you have to work, as long as you can work out how much 400 qirats weighs in today's terms, which they worked out to be 87.45 grams, then you're sorted. Now in Pakistan, for example, and India, Bangladesh, they have their own sort of weight over there, which is in Bangladesh they have the vori, yeah, and in Pakistan and India they have tola, tawlaja they call it, the tawla, the tawlaja, yeah, And the tawlas are worked out according to a smaller seed called the masha. Yeah, the masha is called the smaller seed. And that's how they work this out. So, 7.5 tawlas or $52.5 of silver, $7.5 of gold, which in grams terms would work out to be 87.45 grams of gold, right? So 400 qirats is equal to 87.45 grams of gold, and 200 silver coins is equal to 613.35 grams of silver. All right, makes sense? A lot of maths in this. So ثم في كل 4 مثاقيل, there's going to be 2 qirats. لأن الواجب ربع عشر, because Abu Hanifa says, because the obligation is you have to give 1/40th. وذلك فيما قلنا, and that can only occur in what we said, meaning only in 4, as in less than 4 you physically cannot give a 40th of anything less than 4 mithqals. Like in them day they didn't have it. So that's why Abu Hanifa says, remember he said the kusur, where we talked about this, when we talked about the silver one, and we said that if you got 200, you don't have to give any more zakat unless you hit 40. So 240 is where you're going to give your next zakat. And then 280 is you're going to give your next one. And then 320 next one. So it works in 40s. So the same concept over here works over here, but this is now to do with the mithqal. So you only have to give zakat in every 4 now. So once you hit 20, you give 2 qirat. And the next time you're going to give you give half a mithqal. Next time is 24. So half a mithqal plus 2 qirats. Next time 28. So half a mithqal plus 4 qirats. And then like that. إذ كل مثقال 20 قيراطا, is because every mithqal is equals to 20 qirat. وليس فيما دون 4 مثاقيل صدقة. And there is no sadaqah, there is no zakat in anything less than 4 mithqals, according to Inda Abi Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. وعندهما, but Sahibain disagree with this. They disagree with Abu Hanifa. They say no. They say the whole zakat system is based upon Allah's ni'mah. Is 20 mithqal Allah's ni'mah? We say yes. Is 21 mithqal Allah's ni'mah? Yes. So therefore you have to give zakat on 21. Why are you silent on 21, 22, 23? No, you have to give zakat on each one. So they say, تَجِبُ بِحِسَابِ ذَلِكَ. Zakat has to be given in accordance with the amount you have accumulated. You don't have to work in force. وَهِيَ مَسْأَلَةُ الْكُسُورِ. And then this is the masala which we talked about when we talked about the silver. This is the masala of kusur. Right? So if you've forgotten, go back to the videos on the silver one, and over there I mentioned it. So this is the masala of the kusur. Kusur means the fractions, the breaks. So 20, and then the next kasar is 4, 24, and the next one is 28, the next one is 32, like that. وَكُلُّ دِينَارٍ عَشَرَةُ الدَّرَاهِمْ فِي الشَّرْعِ. So every dinar is equal to, in the Sharia, so this is not talking about just general life, they're talking about in Sharia itself, every dinar, 1 dinar is equal to, in value, is equal to 10, not in weight, because remember it said in weight. A silver coin is almost, you can say, it's almost like 3/4, almost 3/4 of a gold coin. Yeah. But here it's saying, kullu dinar, every dinar is equal to, in value, of 10 silver coins. Fi shar'. So therefore, if that's the case, 1 to 10, so 1 versus 10. فَيَكُونُ أَرْبَعْ مَثَاقِيلْ فِي هَذَا كَأَرْبَعِينَ دِرْهَمْ. So it's like, if 1 is equal to 10, therefore 4 is going to be equal to 40. So he wants to make this kind of like a ratio between the two. So he's saying if one gold coin is equal to 10, therefore that logically makes sense that 4 mathaqil should be equal to 40 silver coins. 40 silver coins. That's what he's saying. Now, interestingly, a gold coin was actually the weight of 1 mithqal. So in them days, in the Prophet ﷺ's days, or Umar radiallahu anhu's days, 1 gold coin equaled 1 mithqal anyway. So you could just say, فَيَكُونُ أَرْبَعْ دَنَانِيرْ فِي هَذَا كَأَرْبَعِينَ دِرْهَمْ. Does everyone understand this concept, yeah? Okay, so that's done now. So what we learned from this? We learned from this that the nisab for gold is 20 mithqals, which is equal to 87.45 grams in today's conversion. And when you have 20, you don't have to give zakat after that unless you hit 24, according to Abu Hanifa. If you hit 24, you have to give half a mithqal because of 20, and then you have to give 2 qirats because 2 qirats works out to be 1/40th of 4. وَفِي تِبْرِ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ. Okay, now let's move away from coins. Let's just look at nuggets now. So in regards to tibr means like a nugget, like an unrefined gold and silver. In unrefined gold and silver, وَحُلِيِّهِمَا, and when it comes to jewelry, وَأَوَانِيهِمَا, and cutlery that's made from gold and silver. So like dishes, ornaments and things that are made from gold and silver. Do you have to give zakat on them? Hanafi say yes, you have to. Zakat has to be given on any form of gold and silver so long as it's extractable. Yeah, why? Because gold and silver naturally are considered to be productive wealth, mal nami, as opposed to Imam Shafi. So قال الشافعي لا تجب في حلي النساء. It is not necessary in jewelry of women. So if a woman has gold chain, gold bangles, gold or silver, and she wears them regularly, so I don't know the exact details of what the Shafi say, but what I've heard is that Shafi say, one of the opinions is, if a woman wears gold and silver for the majority of the year, then she doesn't have to give zakat on it. So if there's a woman who wears it for more than 6 months of the year, she wears her gold and silver, not just like on occasions, she wears it continuously for more than 6 months of the year, then there's no zakat on it. وَخَاتِمِ الْفِضَّةِ لِلرِّجَالِ. And also, for men, they say that if a man has, obviously a man's allowed to wear a ring that's made from silver. So if a man has a silver ring, then he has to give zakat. This is according to the Shafis. No zakat on it. Why is this for? Because his argument is that, look, you don't have to give zakat on something which is used by you. Anything you use in life, your house, your bed, your car, you use it, no zakat on it. So if you're going to use gold and silver, he overrides the concept of productivity here. لأنه مبتذل في مباح فشابه ثياب البذرة. So he says this is something which is mubtadhil, it's used, مستعمل في مباح, in something jaiz. Are women allowed to wear gold and silver? Yes. Is a man allowed to wear a silver ring? Yes. So as long as they are allowed to wear it in the Sharia, therefore he says this resembles them wearing their normal clothes. So let's say you have clothes and your clothes are worth £10,000. Right? Do you have to give zakat on that? No, you don't. Why? Because you're considered your hajat al-asliya. Okay? So that's basically Imam Shafi's position on this. وَلَنَا, and our dalil, أَنَّ السَّبَبْ مَالٌ نَامٍ. The reason for why you have to give zakat on gold and silver is not because whether you wear it or not, or whether it's for tijara. It's mal namin. It's productive wealth. وَدَلِيلُ النَّمَا, and the proof that this is productive wealth, موجود, exists. What is that? وَهُوَ الْإِعْدَادُ لِلتِّجَارَةِ خِلْقَةً. This is something that has been i'dad, it has been prepared for trade, not with intention, but it's been created like that. Allah has created gold and silver to be something used as a mode of transaction, a medium transaction. Like you look around the world historically, most societies have been using gold and silver as means of trade. Why? Because it's something that is very rare to find. It doesn't rust. Yeah, it's long lasting. So this is why people have been using it. وَالدَّلِيلُ هُوَ الْمُعْتَبَرُ. And over here, so you have two things over here now. Do you look at the natural purpose of gold and silver? Why it's been created? Like the Hanafi say. Or do you look at the usage of gold and silver like the Shafi say? So Shafi say, no, you have to look at usage. Usage overrides everything. Whereas the Hanafi say, no. Yes, usage overrides everything besides gold and silver, because irrespective of what you use it for, they have naturally been created for this. And there are many hadith. I mean, I don't have time to go into them now, but if you read Binaya, he's mentioned lots of hadith to show Aisha radiallahu anha and others that she had these rings that were made from silver. And the Prophet ﷺ saw them. And he said, what's this? And she said, oh, I saved up some money and I made myself some silver rings. And the Prophet said, have you given your zakat on them? Because if you don't, those on the Day of Judgment will wrap themselves around you like a snake into Jahannam. Yeah, So that's a dalil that gold and silver are naturally considered to be zakatable items. وَالدَّلِيلُ هُوَ الْمُعْتَبَرُ. And we say the dalil of nama is considered to be what is considered as the stronger position. بِخِلَافِ الثِّيَابِ. As opposed to clothing, because clothing has never been created to be productive. It's always been created to be used. Okay, we'll stop there then. Okay, so if you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and let's just summarize what we covered today. So in today's summary, we talked about this idea of if you have a coin and it has gold in there and another metal, or silver in there and another metal, when do you consider it to be gold and when do you consider it to be not gold? So we say the ruling is which metal inside that coin is more than 50%. Whichever is more than 50%, it's in that hukum. And whichever is less, then it's overpowered, you say. However, when you're going to work out the zakat, you are going to work out the zakat according to how much silver or gold is in there. So if the amount of gold and silver can be weighed and measured, and it works out to be more than 87.45 grams of gold or 613.35, then you got to give zakat. Okay, what about gold? So gold nisab is based upon the concept of the mithqal. The mithqal is something which is about 4.2 grams, and it's basically the threshold for gold. So it's made up of, each mithqal is made up of 20 qirats. So if you have 20 mithqals, you have to give half a mithqal, which is 10 qirats of zakat on it. Yeah. And then the next time you're going to have to give it is when you have 4 more. So 20, and then 24, and then 28, and then 32, and then 36, and so forth. Sahibain say no, you have to give zakat on any amount that you have inside of it. Okay. And then what about unrefined gold and silver, jewelry and all that? We say yes, you have to give zakat in any condition. Whether you use it or not doesn't matter, because it's been created as a means of nama. Shafi says no. He says if it's used, then, and it's mubah, permissible to use it, then there's no zakat. And if it's impermissible to use, like men wear gold necklaces, then no, zakat is necessary on it. Okay, we'll stop there. Alright guys, take care inshallah, and inshallah I'll see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum.